Hidden away from public eyes, Lady Sarah Chatto guards a treasure trove of royal jewels that few even know exist. These aren't the glittering crowns or famous tiaras seen at state events. They are exquisite, intimate pieces, steeped in history that never found a new owner. Despite their beauty, these jewels remain largely unsold, quietly preserved in the shadows of Britain's royal legacy. Snowden Floral Tiara. The Snowden Floral Tiara is one of the most personal and emotionally resonant jewels in modern royal history, not because of its size or public visibility, but because of the deeply private story behind its creation. Unlike many royal tiaras that were commissioned for state occasions or inherited across generations of queens, this piece was born from a marriage and reshaped for another, making it a rare example of a jewel evolving alongside a family's intimate milestones. The origins of the tiara trace back to 1960, when Anthony Armstrong Jones, later the first Earl of Snowden, received 3 diamond floral brooches as wedding gifts upon his marriage to Princess Margaret. These brooches were elegant yet understated, designed in a naturalistic floral style that reflected Anthony's modern artistic sensibility rather than traditional royal grandeur. For decades, they remained separate pieces, quietly associated with one of the most complex and scrutinized marriages in the royal family. By the early 1990s, the brooches took on new meaning. As Lady Sarah Armstrong Jones prepared for her wedding to Daniel Chatto in 1994, the decision was made to transform the 3 individual brooches into a single tiara. The task was entrusted to Wartsky, the royal jeweler renowned for its craftsmanship and sensitivity to historical pieces. Rather than overpowering the original design, Wartsky preserved the floral motifs, carefully integrating them into a tiara that retained the lightness and intimacy of the original jewels. The resulting Snowden floral tiara was delicate and unconventional by royal standards. Its design echoed garlands of flowers rather than rigid symmetry, giving it a soft, almost poetic appearance. When Lady Sarah wore the tiara on her wedding day, it was not merely an accessory, but a symbolic bridge between generations, uniting her parents' marriage, her father's artistic taste, and her own new beginning. What sets this tiara apart is its enduring emotional significance. It is not part of the main royal vault rotation, nor is it frequently loaned or worn at public state events. Instead, it remains a deeply personal heirloom, closely associated with Lady Sarah and her marriage. In an institution defined by ceremony and public display, the Snowden floral tiara stands as a quiet reminder that some royal jewels are cherished not for their visibility, but for the private stories they carry. Stories of family, continuity, and love reshaped over time. Gravelle pearl earrings. The Gravelle pearl earrings occupy a unique place among modern royal jewels, blending historic grandeur with deeply personal family meaning. While their origins stretch back to the early 20th century, their most poignant chapters are tied to Lady Sarah Chatto's adult life, beginning with her wedding in 1994 and continuing through her quiet presence at major royal milestones well into the 21st century. The earrings trace their lineage to the legendary Gravelle collection, assembled by socialite and jewelry connoisseur Margaret Gravelle. Upon her death in 1942, Gravelle famously bequeathed her extraordinary collection of jewels to Queen Elizabeth, the future Queen Mother. This inheritance dramatically expanded the royal jewelry vaults and introduced some of the most opulent pearls and diamonds ever owned by the British royal family. Among these treasures were the pearl earrings, elegant drops combining luminous pearls with refined diamond settings, designed to be timeless rather than ostentatious. By the mid-20th century, the earrings had passed into the personal collection of Princess Margaret. Unlike more theatrical pieces she favored publicly, these earrings reflected a quieter sophistication. They became part of her private rotation, worn selectively rather than showcased regularly. Over time, they came to symbolize continuity rather than spectacle, an understated contrast to Margaret's more flamboyant public image. In 1994, the earrings took on renewed emotional importance when they were worn by Lady Sarah at her wedding to Daniel Chatto. Their presence on that day transformed them from historic jewels into living heirlooms, linking 3 generations of royal women. The pearls, already rich with history, became markers of personal legacy, representing inheritance not just of material value, but of memory and family identity. The significance of the earrings deepened further in 2002, a year of profound transition for the royal family marked by loss. As pieces associated with both Princess Margaret and the Queen Mother, the Gravelle pearl earrings emerged as symbols of remembrance. Lady Sarah's continued use of them during major royal events, including weddings, memorial services, and funerals, underscored their role as vessels of continuity during moments of reflection and farewell. Unlike statement tiaras or ceremonial diamonds, the Gravelle pearl earrings are powerful precisely because of their restraint. They are not worn to command attention, but to honor history. Through decades of public appearances, Lady Sarah has carried these earrings as a quiet tribute to the women who wore them before her, making them not just jewels of inheritance, but enduring expressions of royal family devotion and remembrance. Diamond Star Earrings. The diamond star earrings inherited by Lady Sarah in 2002 represent one of the most direct and emotionally charged links between mother and daughter in the modern royal jewel collection. While many royal jewels are valued for their age or provenance, these earrings derive their significance from something far more personal. They embody Princess Margaret's unmistakable sense of style and the continuity of her visual legacy beyond her lifetime. Princess Margaret had worn the diamond star earrings from at least the 1950s, a period when she was emerging as one of the most photographed and fashion-forward figures in the royal family. The star motif, bold yet elegant, reflected her preference for jewels that were glamorous without being ceremonial. Unlike tiaras or grand parures reserved for state occasions, these earrings were versatile, adaptable, and expressive, perfectly aligned with Margaret's desire to balance royal duty with individual flair. Over decades, they became closely associated with her public image, appearing at formal receptions, society events, and intimate family gatherings alike. Following Princess Margaret's death in February 2002, the earrings passed to Lady Sarah, marking not just a transfer of ownership, but a continuation of identity. For Lady Sarah, who has long favored restraint over spectacle, the decision to keep the diamond stars in regular rotation was deeply symbolic. Rather than retiring them as relics of the past, she chose to let them remain living pieces, worn, seen, and quietly remembered. Since 2002, the diamond star earrings have become one of Lady Sarah's most recognizable jewels. She has worn them repeatedly at Royal Ascot, at annual Christmas services at Sandringham, and during memorials and moments of national mourning. Their frequent reappearance underscores their role as personal anchors rather than ceremonial statements. Each outing subtly echoes Princess Margaret's presence, allowing her aesthetic influence to persist without overt display. What distinguishes these earrings from more famous royal heirlooms is their emotional accessibility. They are not locked behind historical reverence or restricted protocol. Instead, they move fluidly through Lady Sarah's life, adapting to solemn and celebratory occasions alike. In doing so, they preserve Princess Margaret's legacy in the most authentic way possible, not frozen in time, but woven into the ongoing rhythm of royal family life. Through the diamond star earrings, Lady Sarah has inherited more than a jewel. She has inherited a visual language, one defined by elegance, individuality, and quiet continuity, ensuring that her mother's style remains present, relevant, and deeply felt across generations. Coordinating star brooch. Among the jewels, Lady Sarah Chatto inherited following Princess Margaret's death in 2002, the coordinating star brooch holds a uniquely symbolic position. While smaller and quieter than many royal statement pieces, its power lies in recognition and continuity. Paired with the diamond star earrings so closely associated with her mother, the brooch completes a visual language that has become instantly identifiable to royal watchers and deeply meaningful within the family itself. Princess Margaret had worn the star brooch from the late 20th century onward, often selecting it for occasions that balanced formality with intimacy. The star motif, rendered in diamonds and refined metalwork, echoed her lifelong attraction to celestial designs. Glamorous without being ostentatious, expressive yet restrained. Unlike tiaras or large necklaces reserved for state functions, the brooch was adaptable. It could be pinned to coats, dresses, or evening wear, allowing Margaret to carry a signature emblem across different settings and seasons. After 2002, Lady Sarah chose to retain the brooch alongside the earrings rather than dispersing the pieces separately. This decision preserved the integrity of the set and ensured that the visual connection to Princess Margaret remained intact. Over the years, the brooch has frequently appeared worn in tandem with the star earrings, particularly at formal family gatherings, Christmas church services, and commemorative events. The repetition is not accidental. It reinforces a deliberate continuity between mother and daughter. What makes the star brooch especially poignant is its role as a bridge between public and private memory. To the public, it is a recognizable accessory, one that subtly recalls Princess Margaret's later life wardrobe. To Lady Sarah, it is a wearable reminder of her mother's presence, taste, and personal symbolism. The brooch does not demand attention, yet its recurrence invites recognition, creating an unspoken narrative of inheritance and remembrance. In a royal collection filled with historic diamonds and ceremonial grandeur, the coordinating star brooch stands apart as a deeply human heirloom. It is not defined by rarity or monetary value, but by emotional resonance and repetition. Through its continued use, Lady Sarah has ensured that one of Princess Margaret's most identifiable motifs remains visible, alive, and meaningfully integrated into modern royal life, transforming a simple star into a lasting emblem of familial continuity. Emerald and sapphire earrings. Among the quieter yet historically rich jewels inherited by Lady Sarah Chatto in 2002 were a pair of emerald earrings and a separate pair of sapphire earrings, both dating stylistically to the early 20th century. These pieces, once worn publicly by Princess Margaret during the mid-20th century, form an important but understated chapter in the story of her jewelry legacy, one that extends beyond pearls and diamonds into the expressive world of colored gemstones. Princess Margaret's public image is often associated with diamonds and dramatic silhouettes, yet her private collection revealed a broader and more nuanced taste. The emerald and sapphire earrings reflected a fascination with color that complemented her fashion choices during the 1950s and 1960s, when jewel-toned gowns and structured evening wear were at their height. Emeralds, with their deep green intensity, offered a bold contrast to her pale coloring and couture lines, while sapphires provided a cooler, more restrained elegance suitable for formal daytime and evening engagements. Though these earrings appeared less frequently in press photography than Margaret's more iconic jewels, their public outings were deliberate. She often selected them for receptions, concerts, and social events where individuality mattered more than protocol. Their designs, refined and symmetrical, suggest early 20th century craftsmanship, favoring balance and clarity over theatrical display. In this way, they embodied a transitional moment in royal jewelry, expressive, yet still anchored in tradition. Following Princess Margaret's death in 2002, both the emerald and sapphire earrings passed into Lady Sarah's care. Unlike the pearl or star pieces, which she has worn repeatedly in public, these colored gemstone earrings have remained largely private. Their relative absence from major royal events does not diminish their significance. Rather, it underscores their role as personal heirlooms rather than public identifiers. For Lady Sarah, they represent inherited taste rather than inherited image. Ear of wheat and floral spray. Brooches. Among the jewels. Lady Sarah Chatto chose to retain after Princess Margaret's death in 2002 were several smaller brooches whose importance lies not in scale or rarity, but in sentiment and memory. Chief among these are the ear of wheat brooch, long associated with Princess Margaret's early adulthood, and a diamond floral spray brooch presented to her in 1955. Together, these pieces represent the most intimate layer of Princess Margaret's jewelry legacy, objects worn not to dazzle the world, but to mark personal milestones and moments of quiet meaning. The ear of wheat brooch holds particularly evocative symbolism. Though its exact provenance has never been formally detailed, it has often been linked to Princess Margaret's 21st birthday in 1951. A moment that marked her transition from royal adolescence to public adulthood. The wheat motif itself is rich with meaning, traditionally associated with abundance, growth, and continuity. Rendered in precious metal and diamonds, the brooch balanced elegance with symbolism, making it especially suited to a young princess stepping into her own identity. Margaret wore it intermittently during the 1950s, often pairing it with daytime coats or tailored ensembles rather than evening wear, underscoring its personal rather than ceremonial character. The floral spray brooch, given to Princess Margaret in 1955, reflects a different yet complementary chapter of her life. The mid-1950s were years of heightened visibility for Margaret, when her style drew intense public fascination. Floral spray designs were popular in mid-century jewelry, valued for their naturalistic forms and adaptability. This brooch, composed of diamonds arranged to resemble a scattering of blossoms, could be worn in multiple ways, pinned high on a dress, angled along a lapel, or placed at the shoulder. Margaret used it as a versatile accent piece, selecting it for receptions, family occasions, and social events where refinement mattered more than formality. After 2002, both brooches passed quietly into Lady Sarah's personal collection. Unlike headline jewels, such as tiaras or iconic earrings, these brooches appear only occasionally at family gatherings, memorial services, or seasonal church events. Their infrequent public appearances reinforce their role as keepsakes rather than statements. When worn, they tend to be subtle additions, noticed primarily by those familiar with their history. What unites the ear of wheat and floral spray brooches is their emotional resonance. They encapsulate moments of youth, growth, and personal expression in Princess Margaret's life. By preserving and occasionally wearing these mid-century pieces, Lady Sarah ensures that her mother's story is remembered not only through famous jewels, but through the quieter symbols that once marked her private milestones. In the years following Princess Margaret's death in 2002, the fate of her vast jewelry collection became a subject of both public fascination and private reckoning. Princess Margaret was estimated to have owned around 800 pieces of jewelry, ranging from grand diamonds and historic heirlooms to modern, playful designs that reflected her famously individual taste. Ultimately, the majority of this collection was sold at a landmark Christie's auction in 2006, one of the most talked-about royal jewelry sales of the modern era. The decision to sell was not rooted in indifference, but necessity and purpose. Proceeds from the auction were used to cover inheritance taxes and to support charitable causes established by Princess Margaret's children, Lady Sarah Chatto and David Armstrong Jones, Earl of Snowden. In this sense, the dispersal of the collection allowed Margaret's possessions to take on new life beyond the family, funding causes that aligned with values she had supported in her lifetime. Yet the auction did not represent a complete closing of the vault. Lady Sarah and her brother made a deliberate and deeply considered choice to withhold a small number of pieces from sale, jewels whose value could not be measured in market terms. These retained items were not necessarily the most expensive or historically significant, but the ones most closely intertwined with Princess Margaret's identity as a mother, a woman, and a private individual. Among those kept were the Snowden floral tiara, the Gravelle pearl earrings, the diamond star earrings, and the coordinating star brooch. Each of these pieces carried layered meaning: gifts tied to marriage, jewels worn repeatedly across decades, and designs that had become visual shorthand for Princess Margaret herself. Together, they formed a condensed but powerful representation of her personal style: elegant, expressive, and quietly distinctive. For Lady Sarah in particular, these jewels function as wearable memories rather than display objects. By continuing to wear them at royal events, such as Christmas church services, memorials, and family occasions, she has ensured that her mother's presence remains subtly visible within the fabric of royal life. The repetition is intentional. It transforms jewelry into continuity, allowing Princess Margaret's aesthetic and emotional legacy to persist without spectacle. What distinguishes the retained pieces from those sold is intimacy. They are not museum artifacts or auction highlights, but living heirlooms, passed from mother to daughter with their meaning intact. In choosing preservation over profit for these select jewels, Lady Sarah and her brother safeguarded something far more enduring than diamonds alone: a personal history that continues to be worn, remembered, and honored, quietly, but unmistakably, more than 2 decades later. What do you think about Lady Sarah Chatto's unsold royal jewels? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.